Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero. Thanks for listening to The Tour Coach. These are the players, coaches, experts, stories, and insights from my work on the PGA Tour at my retreats or my downtown teaching center in Mobile, Alabama. My goal is to shed light and share insights from the people who I've gotten to know and meet working on the PGA Tour and teach it through my career. And I hope this helps all of us play, coach, and teach better golf. If you like what you hear, please give us a good review and take a look at our new Dewsweepers YouTube channel or the Dewsweeper on Instagram, where I've taken some time to share videos of help from my teachings, travels, and journeys.
Christmas Eve morning here on the podcast. You guys, I can't believe I could get y'all to do this Christmas Eve morning, but we hadn't done one together, I think, since that one we did at the beginning of the pandemic when we did a Zoom deal. I was looking back trying to think, so it's been a while. But we actually had some folks that had some questions over the last, bit and all that, and about us working together as a team and different things, and I thought it'd be interesting. And so I'm going to start with this. One was for each of you guys. How did each of you get into your profession, and how do you want to impact and improve the industry that we're in? Kolby, let me start with that with you.
Man, what a question.
Sorry, I knew you didn't expect me to actually be prepared this morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's this all about?
I mean, this is good. So, how did I get here? I guess I just, more than anything, is what I did was I believed in myself. I've always loved fitness. I was always, fascinated with how the human body moved and how it worked. I was born with a severe birth defect where the doctor said that I wouldn't walk. So at a very early age, I kind of fell in love with the body and how I could get myself better, dealing with surgeries. And I've had numerous surgeries on both of my ankles, and it was just something that I just gravitated toward. And it was just in my DNA. So, I really just locked down and just focused on fast forward, into my early 20s, and I really wanted to do something in that arena. I was in cardiac rehab, and I moved on to physical therapy, but I was always working in the gyms. I would wake up in the morning at 4 a.m, and then I would go to the hospital and work at the hospital till 5 that evening, and then I'd go back to the gym and work as a personal trainer till 10 at night. But I knew I wanted to train. I knew I wanted to help as many people as I could. I wanted to make a difference in people's lives from a sports standpoint or just in an everyday life standpoint. I felt like it was just my calling. And when I was 23 years old, I basically mortgaged everything that my parents had, and I opened my first gym. And I basically just put my head down and I worked as hard as I could, as long as I could, till, fast forward to today, here we are. So, it's just been an amazing ride, but it's not for, I wouldn't be here for the people. I wouldn't be where I am today without people like you and Dr. Greg who believed in me and believed in what I was able to do and to really make an impact in people's lives and make a difference. And that's why I still do it today.
Greg, what about you?
Awesome. Oh, that's, like Kolby, it takes a while to sort of go back and think about that for a second. But
I know y'all didn't expect me to be prepared.
No. I was, fascinated. I always, an athlete growing up and played team sports and played some golf, and sort of fascinated by how some days things would just sort of feel right and easy, and some days I just felt like I was constantly getting in my own way, and read some Rotella books when I think I was in high school, and those appealed to me, and thought, wow, there's something to this. I was a psych major in undergrad in college and was playing sports at the same time and sort of applying some of that stuff, and just was sort of fascinated. Back then, there wasn't a whole lot going on in the field of sports psychology. I had a professor at undergrad that was also an athlete and sort of interested in more from a philosophical standpoint, philosophy of sport, not so much the psychology of sport. But, when I graduated and coached in sports and kept active in sort of athletics, and, one day out of the blue, a friend of mine called and said there's a master's program in sports psychology up at Boston University. And I was working at the school and really enjoyed what I was doing. I thought I'd go for a year, and sort of went to this program, was able to have a lot of hours face-to-face with people while I was getting my master's degree, a lot of practice, and then decided to keep going and get my doctorate. And while I was doing that, I was a guidance counselor at a big public school here in Boston. I was getting tons of hours just talking to people and sort of putting it into play, some of the stuff that I believed in terms of how it relates to sport and performance. And then when I graduated, just said, hey, I'm open for business. And that was it. And, had a few clients in the golf world early on through some mutual connections. I didn't really design it necessarily to be the majority in the golf world. And, through word of mouth, just sort of got more involved in it. And I think a lot of the stuff I believe in and feel that can help others really applies to golf. And I think you said what we're looking to sort of do with where we are. And I find that I've sort of moved away from this idea of enhancing performance and helping people just enjoy what they do a little bit more. And if I can do that, then that's enough for me. Because in any endeavor, it's always more results. Got to win, got to do this, got to do that, which is great. But I think there's a step that comes before that, and that's helping people find some fulfillment and enjoyment in what they do, and usually good things happen after that.
And then the next question was, and I'll answer this part, was I had somebody come up to me at a junior tournament not long ago and was saying they listened to the podcast, and they're like, oh, you and Kolby and Greg always talk about being a team. Was like, how did y'all get together? And I always say, well, like, it was Smiley, right? Smiley was the first guy that, I've told this story a bunch of times. Kolby, he was coming down and he was working. He would always come to see me in Mobile. Then he'd go work with Kolby in Baton Rouge. This was kind of college to coming out of college. And then there was the first time, I think, Kolby, I rode over and I watched you in your gym in Baton Rouge. I think that was the first time we met, and I watched you work him out. And you were the first fitness person that I'd ever worked with teaching where you asked specifically, like, what are we trying to do in his golf swing? And, like, you just hammered that. And he kept getting better and better. And then you came to Mobile, and we worked under that damn tent I had that I called a dome to trick you into coming over. And we worked with Smiley, and I remember Robbie Shelton in college and a bunch of folks coming over. But it was so different because it was everything you did was I'd never seen a fitness person or a performance person in that field work specifically with what I was trying to get them to do, but also work on the range where, like, I'm trying to get them to hit it and you just lay them down on the ground and do some things, and then they, were able to do it better. And that, right? I mean, that's kind of how it happened. And then you go to with Greg, and then, obviously there were some times that he, as he's going through the Corn Ferry, and all of a sudden he started telling me that he was talking with Greg. And I noticed that some things in the way he talked about things and performance had changed. And then I started talking with Greg, and next thing you know, we're all doing stuff together. And to me, it's been amazing from not only from each player, we've had some great success with players, but the best thing about it for me has been each of you has pushed me to get better and get better at what I do, and also not just on teaching, but as a person, and get better at what I do. And you guys have been so valuable as sounding boards and friends. It's been an incredible relationship, and I think we enjoy genuinely doing stuff together is why it comes across like it's so fun.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, my biggest thing was, you guys are great at what you do, and my goal throughout my whole career was, to surround yourself by people that, number one, you enjoy, and that you really like as a person, right? And right. But who really matches the passion that you have, like with your craft. And I think you and Greg are the best at what you do. I go out of my way to send people to you, and I'll go out of my way. I mean, I've sent some NFL guys that I trained to Greg, and I'm always like constantly reaching out to both of you, saying, hey, I got this person. Like, can I give them your number or whatever it is? I mean, to me, from a team concept, I've never worked on a better team, and I get excited, and it gets my juices flowing. Like when we have an opportunity to be able to work together, like I really cherish, and I wait for those moments because, I feel like we all make each other better. And I mean, what's better than that, right? To be able to play a small part in an athlete's journey to become something, a better version of themselves. And I think, we trying to check all the boxes. I mean, I think it's amazing. And I mean, I'm going to continue to do it for as long as I can with you guys. It's a hell of a ride. And like I said, I just look forward to it each and every time I get a chance to do it.
I agree with that as well, Kolby. And sorry, Tony, I just wanted to add to that. And, early on, same thing, watching, I was attracted to sort of the way both of you guys work. I've never seen anyone pinpoint weaknesses in someone's physical game like Kolby in terms of, performance and how quick he pinpoints it. And not only that, how quick he turns things around. Like while we're standing there on the range, all of a sudden the guys got more speed, and 5 minutes he's doing some exercises, and those real tangible examples, and seeing kids like faces light up when they make those changes. And Tony, for you, like the simplicity in what you teach and breaking down sort of complicated ideas and having all these kids, like we go to these camps and say like, Tony's the Pied Piper. These kids will listen to anything he says, right? Because you build that trust. And I was really sort of drawn to that as well. And yeah, we just make each other better. Like watching you guys work, man, I want to step in there and add this. And Kolby, you said the most important thing. It's about building trust and having fun with these guys too, right? Like getting better. Yeah. We've always said you can have fun and get better at the same time. It's not a grind. It doesn't have to be, right? And that's been the best part of this. I look forward to it as well all the time, doing whatever we can to help people just enjoy the game more and get a little better.
And another question that came in was like, how do you deal with high performance athletes, high end players when everybody's different? And, my answer to that, and bounce it off of you, but is I think that we look so big picture. Like I know as instruction, like when I look at a good player that comes to us, whether it's, high school, college, mini tour professional, I look at it like, one, what do they do well already? And then I look big picture, like what skill sets do they need to improve to get to that level? And then I look at it from like, I'm like, okay, so here I know this part isn't as good as it needs to be. And like Kolby, I think the one thing that we all do so well is we look big picture together and we all stay in each other's lanes. Like I know when like it's something that's the reason they're struggling with whatever it is I'm asking is physical. And I'm like, you need to do the stuff he sent you, or Greg, it's the same with you. Like because so many things performance wise are stuff away from the golf course or what they're dealing with themselves. And like, I think that's one thing that's so good is we all know our roles and we all know how to work together, but not overstep those bounds. And I think that's pretty important when people are working together.
Yep, for sure. I also think everyone is different, but there's one, I think, constant with anybody that's looking to improve, and they want people around them that they trust, right? And I think we provide that and that they enjoy being with. And providing that, that everybody needs that and wants that and looks for that. And then once you develop that, now you start to pick apart some of the individual differences. And if they're younger kids, you sort of build them up. And if they're, tour pros who are coming to us later in their career, and you start stripping stuff away. So there's different ways to approach guys based on where they are.
What were you going to say, Kolby?
No, I agree. Like, I think the most important thing, and I think what happens a lot of times in my arena, in the fitness world is, what I've seen in the past is where those lines kind of get blurred. And, I think what we do a very good job of is understanding, like you said, and you said it the best, like we all understand our role, and we know if we stick to all of our roles and we don't cross any of those lines and we stay in that team concept, then the results are going to take care of themselves, right? It's just going to be one of those things where we stay true to the task and we don't deviate from it, and we all got each other's back and we're all on the same page. And I feel like what Doc was saying, when an athlete walks into a situation like that, like he feels completely confident on what he's doing and he buys into what we're trying to do with the athlete. Because if you got an athlete that's going in and his instructor saying one thing, but then his trainers contradict him the other thing, and then you got his mental coach contradicting what both of the other guys are saying, like, I feel like that's where things become unraveled. And I see a lot of that, especially in the sports world, right? Because I think that's when the athlete becomes more, like when you got so many people telling an athlete so many different things, it's hard to be able to trust what he's being told, right? So I think what we do so well is we all understand our role and we all understand the process and we all understand that as one goes, we all go, and I think that's the winning formula for anything.
I think it gets harder, and it's hard with professional athletes because there's, like you said, Kolby, Greg, there's so many people around, and like it doesn't take much first seeds of doubt to get planted, right? I mean, and if people have, if like you have a trainer that's saying, I think you ought to be doing this in instruction or whatever,
Correct.
I mean, then all of a sudden once a guy starts doubting, that's when normally the stuff doesn't work out long term.
No, I mean, I agree totally. I mean, that's what you see all the time. Like, that's why when I made it a point to where the first time I met you, I want to know exactly what you were doing and what you needed out of your athlete for him to get better. And that's what it's all about. Because my job is to get your athlete to be able to move the way we need him to be able to move, so you can do what you need to do to make that athlete a top player in the world. Like, to me, that's what it's all about. So my role is to understand what you need and try to get what you need.
Absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
No, and we had along these questions and stuff, somebody said, like, how does it work when y'all are together? And I always remember, like, on one of these, maybe it was Scott Lynn was talking, and I think we may have all been there, and Scott was like, how cool it was that, like, we'd have a player in a bay, and all of us, Scott's working with him, and all of a sudden he'll go, Kolby, you need to do this. And then Kolby will be with somebody and be like, Tony, you need to jump in on this. Like, his club face messed up, right? Like, we all know it, but like, there aren't like set rules, but we kind of all know, or it'll be like, you need to go out there. You're doing fine. You need to go out there and on the tee and you and Greg just talk a few minutes, right? And get out of your own way, right? Like, but there's like, it's like, I think when you work together longer and you start having a feeling for like when the right time to call each other in and do that is.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's fun, and I still get a kick out of if I get a call from a client, say, oh, Tony sent me to you, or Kolby recommended I call you, and that's really nice to get those calls and know that that's probably the start of something really good, and like to reciprocate as best I can, because I believe in you guys. I'm usually the last stop in our profession in terms of when someone comes to see me, they already have a coach, they already got a trainer.
Yeah.
So, but trying to get guys to buy in, because man, it just accelerates I think the learning and enjoyment so much quicker when guys are getting a consistent message from people who know what they're doing.
I agree with Dr. 100%. I mean, but he might be the last stop, but he's the missing piece. You know what I mean? That's why I always look at it. I always look at it from that standpoint, and that's why, I mean, I don't hesitate. It takes me 3.1 hundredths of a second to be like, you need to go see Doc, because to me, like, he might be, like I said, he might be last up, but I feel like he's the last piece, or he's one of the most important pieces to get this athlete to where they need to be. And that's why it's so good to be able to work with him day in and day out. And it's just a no-brainer for us to be able to get our athletes with him as fast as we can.
And the other thing is, I've had folks say, like, hey, we're doing a bunch of stuff with young teachers on this golf development page that me and Jackson and Justin Parsons have done, and getting all these young teachers. And they're like, well, I don't have access to a Kolby, or I don't have access to a Greg. I'm just starting out. And I'm like, but everybody can find people that they trust in their area that are good at what they do and put themselves a team together and grow together. Because like when we started with this, I mean, like Kolby, I remember, like you had Smiley and I think Andrew Loop and John Peterson probably about that time, but mainly Baton Rouge guys. You hadn't made the leap of faith to go down to Joey D yet. And Greg, I mean, I think you had a couple guys, but it wasn't, what you're doing now. And I think one of the cool things to me, and I know we've all talked about this, and like I've said this to you, Kolby, is like, it's been fun watching us grow together, like watching our careers grow and watching people have success. And I think that's good advice for any young teacher coming up. Like, find yourself some people in your area that you trust and that have this, like go back to what Kolby said, that have the same passion to make people better and have similar beliefs so that you can work together and you put your own team together.
Yeah, it's a great environment to not only work in, but to observe and to see how people work together and how exciting that is. I can't say enough good things about that team approach. And
when we started this way, there wasn't as many people on Instagram. I always grade things by Instagram. Like, there wasn't as many people doing it, right? And I had other teachers say to me, like, why are you using all these people? And why is, this, that, and the other? And it's like, well, we made people better together. And now, I mean, you can't log on without seeing somebody talk about their whole team and doing all this stuff together. So not that we started that, but I think that, like, that's more and more people are realizing that what we're doing is a great way to work to help people and going back to making people better.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like it goes back to what I said before. Like, I mean, I feel like for me personally, like all the success that, you know, even as I grow, you know, I think you guys have, you know, allowed me to be able to grow in my profession. You know, and every bit of success that I'll ever experience, it has to go back to the people that believe in you first, right? Like it's all part of that journey and being able to grow with men like you and to be able to build something that's bigger than yourself and be a part of something that's bigger than yourself. Like, I mean, like I said, man, that's the biggest blessing of all, to be able to do that together.
Two more things I'm under. One question was like, what are the things I've learned and applied from Kolby and Greg? And Kolby, the biggest thing I've learned from you is that, like, how much easier, like, you know, my belief system is like from a golf swing perspective, like, I don't think it's as complicated. I think it's an athletic movement. If we can get the face square, club relatively on the plane, but then we can teach the body to wind up and unwind and deliver the club. And to me, what I've learned from you is basically all these different ways to train a player to basically learn what, like you refer to as just a movement pattern, right? And that it's easier to do that most of the time without a club and a ball and with some of these exercises and bands. And then as they physically get able to do it better, they improve. And then from Greg, for you, it's the ability to create freedom and how important it is, you know, to help a player play with some freedom and to also accept who they are and accept things and that they're not weird or they're not crazy or whatever it is, you know, instead of just the traditional stuff that I'd read growing up or been told in speeches about golf psychology. But those are the two like big tenets that I've learned, and I take that with every player that I work with.
Yeah, I've learned a ton as well from both you guys, obviously. You know, Kolby, how important like some of those little exercises and movements are and how quickly change can take place, and this has a lot to do with Kolby, but how easy it is to actually access some of that stuff and explain it, right? And meaning like how simple Kolby makes it sound in terms of what you need to do and what it's going to help you do, right? And you hear him talking like, man, that makes so much sense, right? It's not complicated. And the kids, like I said before, their faces just light up and they're so excited and motivated now to go get in the gym and do those exercises. And Tony, for you, and this is, I've been a believer in this a lot, and this is why I've drawn to you quite a bit. It's like, you don't need to fix everything all the time, right? Like, teachers sometimes, I think, feel a lot of pressure to make changes when guys come to see them. Someone's paying me a certain amount of money, I got to give them something to do. And I've seen you do this before. Say, hey, man, I got nothing for you. That's awesome. Let's keep doing it, right? And it doesn't mean, you know, you're not doing any work. In fact, it's just the opposite. It's hard to do that. Right? It's hard to tell a kid that everything looks pretty good and let's keep sort of figuring out maybe why we're doing this so we can keep doing it. And that's always been drawn to that.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like with you guys, just real quick, like with Tony is the same thing as Doc says. It's like the ability to be able to communicate what you're trying to accomplish with the swing and how you can pinpoint exactly what's going on. Like, I mean, I've always been fascinated how you can see a swing that's going that's so fast and you can pick up something just on a ball flight on what's happening with their club face, or it could be from a playing standpoint and all this stuff. And then from Doc is just his ability to, I mean, people completely gravitate to him. And I mean, I think that's just a testament to him from as just a person and being as a good human, you know, like it's easy to gravitate to someone who, you know, is going to tell you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And I feel like that says a lot from a trust concept, and just to see him work with athletes and see the success that his athletes have had just by going to him in such a short amount of time, being able to free them up. And it's the big thing, like you said, Tony, before, is the freedom concept. Like, how he's able to articulate that and be able to get people to believe that. And I think that's just amazing.
And again, Greg, this is a compliment to you. I always go back to I referred somebody to him one time who was a college player, and he called him and they talked a couple times, and then I saw him at the lesson and I said, and you know, this is like he couldn't go to Boston. He talked to him over the phone. And I said, how'd it go? And he said, man, it was great. He's like, it felt like I was just sitting and talking and having a beer with somebody I could trust.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool though, right? Because that's not like going to a doctor's office and laying on a couch.
Yeah, there's a big stigma still attached to like what we do.
That's what I need.
Break down some of that stigma so it's more accessible for people, and especially in speaking to the accessibility of getting to work with good people. Like, you know, Kolby's as good as it gets. Tony, you're as good as it gets. But we still work with people who want to reach out. Random people, hey, right? Like, don't be afraid to reach out. And I'm not saying that to like drum a business, but what I mean is it's there for you, right? And not us. Yeah. Anyone who's attained a certain level of competence. Maybe see people on Instagram. He's got 1,000 followers, and that guy's never going to work with me. But don't be afraid. Reach out. There's good people out there.
And Kolby, not to pimp you too much, but coming out in the next couple of weeks, you've got an app which I have strongly encouraged all of my players, college players and high school players, where really I think technology is changing a lot of what we do. And I actually think that I'm the biggest benefit of this because my players can work even easier with you and with Greg, because like with this app that you're launching, I mean, it is phenomenal. Basically, players can work with you and get the same stuff that they're working with if they come to Doral and at the Rick Smith Performance Center working with me and you there, or you, me, and Greg. It's that app that you're launching is going to be a game changer for folks that want the best that can work remote.
Yeah, I mean, from the fitness world, and especially in golf fitness, like I wanted to create something that could touch as many people and change as many people and help as many people as possible. So I figured that this was the right path for me to take finally, and just be able to educate and communicate with athletes, and just not just athletes, just anybody that wants to get better. Like, there's going to be programs on there that you can follow, and it's the programs that I use with some of the best athletes in the world, some of the best golfers in the world. And it's an opportunity to let anyone who wants to learn more about golf fitness and why these exercises that I use and exercises that I've kind of created in my mind, it all kind of was an opportunity for me to finally to do it. Then I'm fortunate enough to be able to finally get it done. So usually it's probably going to be around the first of the year, and we're going to have programming, and we'll have some on-demand streaming content that you can get on there and follow some things, and hopefully, everybody will enjoy it and be able to get better, So it's going to be exciting, so I really look forward to it.
Kolby, what's the name of it? Are you allowed to say the name of it?
Yeah, it's called Hit It Great. So it's going to be Hit It Great on the Apple platform, and then you're going to be able to go in and look for that. We're trying to figure out, we just finished some beta testing, so just be on the lookout, and it'll be blasted all over the social media world, and hopefully we'll be able to come back on here and do some podcasts, and we can even talk about it on there. And then like I said, I want to be able to bring you guys in on there too for some on-demand content to where people can kind of see the team and see what we do and take some cool stuff where people can actually get on there and follow it. And I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be great.
And last question, and this is for each of you. This came from like our golf development page. So Greg, and Kolby, each of you, if somebody was graduating from school or whatever, and they were young and they were just starting out, going into the business or the world of golf or sports performance and psychology, and Kolby into your side on the fitness side, what would be one piece of advice you'd give them from your side? Somebody starting out.
All right, Doc.
Greg, go first.
I would say find a great mentor. I had one. She was my advisor in grad school. She wasn't a golfer by any means, didn't know anything about golf, but helped me help myself to be myself. And she always said to me that's, Kolby, you mentioned this before, that when people will gravitate to you, you're authentic and you're yourself. So find yourself a mentor, be true to who you are. Don't get caught up in the latest fad and what may sound popular. Find what works. Get as many hours as you can in front of people. Get a good mentor and be true to yourself.
Kolby, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would kind of to piggyback off Doc, like it's kind of the same. I would find someone that you find interested in the way they train. I mean, there's so many types of training. And they all work, right? I mean, I think what happens in my field is we spend so much time, and it's one of those deals where instead of just seeing what the person's doing, seeing how they train, is like what Doc said, like reach out and like ask those questions, like go, like I got people that come watch me train all the time. I mean, it's not something that I want to hoard in a box and like this is my secret sauce and I don't want to share that with the world. Right. And to me, the more people you're able to share it with, it's going to make them better. It's going to help our industry. So I would say reach out and try to get as educated as you can. Like go watch people train. Like look at the way they train, ask the questions, find you, like Doc said, find you a mentor. Like find someone that you can go spend 2 days to train. Like just perfect example is like Jackson. Jackson, who works with you, Tony, and does all the stuff from a instruction standpoint. Like, he's coming down and he's going to spend a couple of days because he just wants to see how it all works out. So from a training standpoint, I feel like, you know, like Doc said, find a mentor, find someone that you respect in the industry, and try to learn from that person. You know, try to see what it's all about. It's not all just books and goniometers and you know, and just all this stuff where you just kind of regurgitating a lot of the same stuff. But like when you're able to sit with someone and someone who's authentic enough and that you feel like you can learn something from them, like that's what it is. I feel like in our industry, what's kind of short-sighted is you see on the social media platforms, like it's only their way and everybody else is terrible and everybody else is horrible and the way they train is terrible, and they spend more time on people's comments, like telling them what they're doing wrong instead of asking what they're doing right.
I love that. And my advice to a teacher is exactly the same, but like find mentors, surround yourself with people that'll push you. But also I think it's important, like, don't be afraid to involve other teachers or other people to help you, right? It's not, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking for help and having people around you that you trust. And, I mean, this was awesome. And Kolby, Greg, thanks for spending Christmas Eve morning with me for a few minutes here on the phone, and, Merry Christmas to you guys. And also, I can't wait for 2022. I appreciate personally everything you guys have done this year, especially in years past, to help keep my ass in the middle of the road and keep pushing me to do better. And I can't wait to do more with us this next year. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Tony. I feel the same way. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. And I think Kolby would agree. The bulk of our work is keeping your ass in the middle of the road. But
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to spend Christmas with anybody else but you two right now.
There you go.
No, I can tell you this: Yvonne would gladly right now ship me to both of you.
We got room here. You're more than welcome.
There's nobody that's more thankful for you two than Yvonne.
Yeah. But hey, man, like that's what it's all about. Like I feel like, you know, me and Doc keeping you in the middle of the road. But I mean, what's better than that, right? I mean, I feel like, you know, like what we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. I feel the sky's the limit for what we're going to be able to accomplish in the years to come. And I look forward to doing it with you both.
Dream team, baby. And guys, I'm gonna go ahead and push. I mean, this stuff, Kolby, this stuff that we did down at Rick Smith at Trump Doral a couple weeks ago, that facility was off the chain. I mean, it was awesome being down there. Greg, I can't wait to bring you down there in a few weeks.
Looking forward to it.
I mean, it's awesome. It's going to be a cool spot. It's closer to Kolby. I can get you there more. We're going to have some fun doing some cool stuff there.
I can't wait.
Awesome, guys. All right, guys. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you.
All right, love y'all.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Tour Coach. I want to take a minute and thank Cordy Walker and Golf Science Lab, as well as my sponsors Shrixon, Buick, Bushnell, and Vineyard Vines for helping make all of this possible and helping me share my insights with you. If you like what you've heard, why don't you check out more on the Dewsweepers channel on YouTube, as well as the Dewsweeper on Instagram, or go to dewsweepersgolf.com to find out more about my teaching, my travels, and where you can find out more about me.